Hello, everybody. This is Zach Zichter and
Jay Warren.
Jay Warren.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Jay Warren. So this is our first episode of Roseanne, is what we're calling it.
Roseanne, I think it's a good name. Yeah.
Okay, and tell us the idea behind Roseanne is what?
Well, we're just watching the series Roseanne and talking about it. And we're starting with the pilot episode.
Okay, all right. So tell me, before we get to the first episode and what that's all about, just let's talk a little bit about you. You're I am a casual observer. I wouldn't even say fan. I watched Roseanne as a kid. It was interesting. It was on when I was young. It was on TV, and I thought, yeah, it's kind of like, my family. We're, middle.
Really, you related to this family?
Yeah, it was. We're a Midwest family, and
okay.
A lot of yelling.
Lots of yelling at each other.
Sure, but I never considered it like my favorite show. It was just on because I only had three channels. But you're a fanatic.
Yeah. Oh, I love this show.
Tell me about it.
A lot of people. I think a lot of people come off to this show right away. They don't like it because they don't like Roseanne. I think she's funny. I don't think she's what makes the show funny. I think it's John Goodman and Sarah Gilbert, the girl who plays Darlene,
sure,
are the two people that save the show.
Okay. Why do you think people don't like Roseanne? You said
she's a little bit abrasive.
Okay.
I think she can come off as obnoxious, and I don't think people like that.
I think that's what it reminded me of my parents.
Yeah. Your stepmom was abrasive?
Mostly my dad.
Your dad was abrasive, yeah?
Uh-huh.
He wasn't like John Goodman?
I don't know that he was like John Goodman. Not that lovable.
No.
But, okay, yeah, so what made you, just latch onto the show, though?
I just thought it was generally, there's a sense of humor in the show that I really get.
Mm-hmm.
And really like. And I really like the dynamic between these two, John Goodman and Roseanne.
Sure.
I think they have a very natural chemistry between them.
Yeah, I actually, in preparation for this first episode, I watched this season 1, episode 1, and it's playing in the background now as we're speaking. But I was kind of taken aback at how good it was.
Mm-hmm.
For a 90s, was it 90s?
It came out, this premiered in 1988.
88, okay.
October 18th, which was my 5th birthday. I turned 5 the day this show premiered. Yep.
That's really useful.
Mm-hmm. It is useful.
For you, correct. Well, I just thought, wow, this is, usually sitcom writing is really bad.
Yeah.
Really bad. And there's some jokes in there, not necessarily, the best written, but it comes across as just... believable in a way.
Well, in the first couple seasons, you don't really see it. About season 3 is when it starts to come off. There's a continuity, because
an arc.
Yeah, there's arcs. There's storylines that carry through. And a lot of sitcoms back in the day, they didn't do that. And it made sense because you didn't have TiVo or anything like that. You had to have an episode on, and if you couldn't bank on people tuning in every week,
right? So
they couldn't all be connected. But there's a lot of episodes. About season 3 or 4 is when all the episodes start connecting to Roseanne. There's a storyline going on, which is what I've always really liked about it.
That's got to be more difficult for the writers back then. Obviously, you just mentioned why it's serialized and having individual episodes, standalone episodes was important. I don't know when. This is just a question that I have for you. Maybe when did seasons start getting sold in movie stores like Best Buy and whatnot?
Oh, probably early. I remember a little history between Zeke and I. I was dating Zeke's little sister. Zach's little sister. When I started buying episodes of Roseanne, and that was 2005.
Okay.
So around that time, because so 2004, 2005, mid 2000s.
Okay, but you say you're starting to get arcs in the early 90s. So I wonder what made those people, the writers, start making arcs and taking that chance.
I don't think that even happened until you could access a season all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Because even shows I think the show, like a show Freaks and Geeks,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what made it fail, is that you had to see each episode and know what was going on. And that came out in the late 2000s. It had a bad time slot. It was on Saturday nights.
Right.
But, like, people just, at the time, people just, like, you can't just tune in and watch a whole season at once.
But prior to that, there were shows that did work that were serialized, like Dallas. I mean, but it was because the ratings were so high that it worked somehow.
Or was there they had a better time slot?
Yeah, in addition to that, there was maybe less people had cable, so the odds of you watching or enough people watching in the evening in prime time was a lot higher.
Yeah. I mean, I know my parents loved Dallas, but I can't tell you anything about Dallas right off the top of my head.
No, other than the stupid cliffhanger with JR.
Yep.
Right.
I never liked the opening theme a little bit, but
But so Roseanne, and I know Seinfeld did it too in season 4, but I think Seinfeld was well after Roseanne, right? That was mid 90s.
I think they actually came out. Seinfeld actually came out in like the late 80s.
Oh, really?
Around the same time.
Okay, so then both of them around season 4 would start doing arcs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Around the same time, because it took I remember hearing the thing that it took Seinfeld like three seasons to really catch on.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let's look at this synopsis for season 1, episode 1 of Roseanne. We've got, according to Wikipedia, I've got a little description. It says Roseanne is summoned to a parent-teacher conference after Darlene has been barking in class. I think, and also the title of the episode is Life and Stuff, which you said was the original title for the show?
That was the original title of the show. I'm not really sure what changed it. To me, Life and Stuff sounds a little cheesy, so maybe Roseanne was just like, let's just call it Roseanne, because it really is her show. The guy that you'll see the episode is written by is named Matt Williams, and I think there was a lot of tension between him and her that first season.
Okay.
There are interviews you can read with Roseanne where she literally threatened to cut someone. There's some story you can read online where she goes into one of the producer's offices and she's with a knife and she's like, "Bitch, I'm not fucking around." And she says later, the reason that she was like that is just because that's the way you had to be if you're a nobody coming up in TV.
Right.
Yeah.
So she did create it. She was a stand-up comic.
Oh yeah, this is all about all this show is revolved around her act. So this is her show.
Yeah. In a way, it's a lot like Seinfeld in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And she, like I was telling you before we started recording, she was originally casted as Peggy Bundy for Married with Children with Sam Kinison.
Roseanne was Peggy Bundy?
Yeah, those two were, Sam Kinison and her were supposed to be Al and Peggy Bundy. But they took off before it could ever get sealed, so she got her own show and Sam Kinison just kept on doing stand-up.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Married with Children is a completely different type of sitcom. It's very that is the type of sitcom I was talking about earlier that is a little bit stilted. They wait for applause lines and it just feels very stiff, the delivery, and there's some charm to that if you really look for it, because it was edgy. That show is edgy, but I can't see her delivering the lines the same way that Katie Seagal did.
Oh yeah, and it would be a completely different show. And in a way, good for her, because this show, I recently gone back into revisiting Married with Children. It doesn't hold up, whereas I think this show, maybe not this particular episode, but this show in general holds up.
Well, maybe I'm too forgiving because I looked at it expecting to see, really crappy, I guess late 80s, early 90s type sitcom jokes, and I thought it was rather, I don't want to say heartfelt because it certainly wasn't heartfelt, but real. Obviously, no one talks the way they do in sitcoms, but just the fact that on the table in this first episode, it's just cluttered. That's how my table was as growing up. Our parents just had mail and newspapers and everything, and newspapers from weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
So it just seemed more realistic. Oh.
There is a good sense of, and maybe because we're both from the Midwest, there's the realism is more there. I don't know how somebody from the East Coast would relate to this.
Sure.
But like no, like and like I would not say that my family life was like this family, but I would say there are like parts of it that I relate to. You know.
So are you saying that it's just because we're from the Midwest, and if there are people out there that would have enjoyed Mama's Family because they related to Mama's Family? That seems unlikely.
I don't think anybody would relate to Mama's Family.
Or the Beverly Hillbillies?
What's the question again?
I'm not really sure. But anyway, so this first episode, so the arc, I guess, is what? The B story, or maybe even the A story. I think the barking is actually the B story.
I would agree. I don't know if there's even actually an A story. Like,
well, the A story is not so much a story as it is just Dan and Roseanne talking about, what would have been like, who would you have married if it wasn't me? And this whole argument between, you need to fix the sink. Well, you never cook, or you're not helping out, and how Roseanne took off time from her work, lost some pay to go meet with this kid. So I guess in a way that is maybe an A story, but it doesn't follow a story, B story pattern like you would usually assume. And then there's a sink, there's cooking. It's just a dynamic. It just seemed like
it's more like a picture into their daily life. Like it's just like a glimpse.
So it's a setup. I guess that's what a pilot does.
Oh.
So tell me some fun facts. Do you know any fun facts about this episode, or specifically, or
Well, this is the only episode that has DJ not played by Michael Fishman.
I saw that as soon as I turned it on. Like, that is not DJ. Sometimes people, Darlene looks crazy different. Becky doesn't look all that different.
No. Well, Becky later on in the series is played by a different person.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that, but I don't think I've ever seen those episodes, so that'll be new once we get to that episode.
Yeah, well, and that's like way later. That's like season 6.
Okay.
From what I can gather, what I read on the internet is like the kid that originally played DJ, the one in this episode, didn't get along with Darlene.
Really?
Yeah.
They're hardly together in this episode.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. But I will say Michael Fishman, you could believe that was actually Roseanne's kid. Like, they look a lot like he just looks like her offspring.
He does, yeah. With the brown hair.
Yeah. And like the eyes, they have like the same eyes.
So in part of this episode, Darlene is drinking a cola. Can you tell me, have you seen that cola before? I've never seen that cola before.
I'll have to see if I can get a glimpse of her again here. Probably not.
I mean, it seemed pretty...
Oh, I imagine, like, is that supposed to be some sort of, like, off-brand Shasta or something like that?
I suppose. It doesn't say Shasta, but yeah, I mean, I suppose it depends on what area of the country they're supposed to be from, but it definitely looks like a store brand.
Yeah.
That red fridge is definitely an interesting color.
We had a fridge similar to that when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm. We had a green one, I think.
You had a green one? Yeah.
How about that wallpaper?
Oh, man. Do they still, like, do places still have wallpaper? Like, is that something that still happens, is wallpaper?
I remember just taking wallpaper down when I was a kid because it was no longer a thing.
Yeah.
Everyone went to sheetrock.
Yeah, and then painting,
Yeah. Or, I don't know what the term is. There's sheetrock and you put, like, spackle over it or whatever. But no, wallpaper maybe is still used, I think, around trim, the top.
Yeah.
For people who just can't let go.
People can't let go.
All right.
And look how young John Goodman looks in this.
He definitely does look young. She looks relatively similar to what she does now in 2016, other than the curly hair. I mean, she's obviously older, but not that much older.
Well, wait till like later seasons because she gets a lot of plastic surgery over the series run. Mm-hmm. She looks completely different. What season 6 is when she's just like, you know who she kind of looks like, and people listening, this may or may not mean anything. She looks a little bit like Christine Fabian, like an older version of Christine Fabian.
Huh.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah, like she gets like her eyes done, and she gets like a tummy tuck, and she gets all this like plastic surgery. And they even make jokes about it. She makes jokes about plastic surgery later. Like,
wow. Well, I mean, I think she's never shied away from being self-deprecating.
No, it's one thing I like about. That's why I like about the show is like she's just very honest with herself,
Mm-hmm.
and she's just funny. She's just a funny person.
Is that what about her that appeals to you? Like you said, a lot of people think she's too crass or brash, or
Maybe that's what I like about it. Is just like she just fucking says whatever the fuck she wants, and
mm-hmm.
I've always appreciated people who just like even if it's not even if like they're like this is gonna get me in deep shit. I kind of like people who just say how they feel, you know.
Yeah.
But you're not. But like you were saying, you're not. You've watched the show, but you're not familiar with it.
Right. I've definitely seen episodes,
Mm-hmm.
but if you said, "Hey, you remember that episode when such and such this and this happened?" I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I don't think I could really recall any plot lines.
Yeah. Season 4 is where I think the show really comes into its own. Like that's when I think, and I think even she has said that that season 3 and 4
Mm-hmm.
are like when the show is really on.
Okay.
I feel like season 4 and 5 are like I'm like this is when the show is when it's supposed to be.
Well, I'm kind of excited then because having watched just this pilot episode, I thought, hey, it's really not too bad, and I think it would hold up now.
Oh yeah.
I was, other than the fact that the wallpaper's there,
Mm-hmm.
it's clearly from a different decade,
Oh yeah.
and they don't look like they live in 2016.
Nope.
I'm sold on it already.
So I was listening to one of my favorite directors. I'm not sure where he ranks on you. Is Kevin Smith.
Yeah, pretty low.
Pretty low.
Just
He was talking on a podcast. He tried to show his daughter the show, and she was younger than she is now. She's like 16 or 17 right now, but she was younger. She's probably like 11 or 12 when he tried to show her the show.
the one from Yoga Hosers.
Yes.
Okay.
And the first thing that she pointed out is like, why is nobody on a cell phone? It's kind of funny. Like you're just like you don't, as an adult, you don't think you shit about like that. But like you're just like, yeah, there was a course to her. Like there has never been a time when everybody was not on a cell phone. You know.
Right, and in this particular episode, Becky, who would be the one that would have a cell phone if she was alive, well, she's probably alive, but the character was living in 2016, they had their just house phone.
Yeah.
And I guess Roseanne hung up the phone or told her to hang up the phone, and then someone called back, and she's like,
Yeah.
my boobs came in. So that dynamic, I mean, I remember that dynamic as a kid. So, maybe there's still some of that nostalgia or understanding of that time that I'm a little bit more open to.
Yeah.
Versus a gal that's the age of Kevin Smith's daughter.
Yeah. Who just is like that's just something that they're hung up on. And in all fairness, like teenagers will just find a reason not to like something.
Sure.
And if they can't wholly relate, they'll just blow it off.
Right. So if they're like, where's the huge big screens TV? How come nobody has an iPad? How come no one has smartphones?
Because it's 1988. That's why. I mean, like, but think about this, though. Like, when we were kids, I never, many a time, popping in old movies that, like, I remember watching Abbott Costello and Three Stooges and stuff like that, Laurel and Hardy.
Yep.
But I don't think that still translates today. I don't think that kids just pop in old stuff anymore.
Really? You don't think people... I think there's some things that stick around, but I don't know if Roseanne is necessarily one of those things. Laurel and Hardy, I grew up watching some things like that. Abbott and Costello, some things. There are some bits, but I think if you watched every movie or every show with them in it, you'd find a lot of duds too.
Oh yeah, but like, I just don't think that. I don't think kids still do that. I don't think they pop in old stuff now. Maybe just because my perception of old stuff has changed a little bit.
Right.
Like, my nieces love the Alvin and Chipmunks movie, the old 80s cartoon.
Yeah.
Where they're, like, in a hot air balloon at some point. You know what I'm talking about?
I saw plenty of Alvin and Chipmunks movies, but I don't know if I remember that. I remember the Christmas one.
Yeah. It's not the Christmas one. They sing Wooly Bully at some point.
I had a cassette tape with that. It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I that was how I was introduced to a lot of those oldies. Was because I had a Chipmunks tape with like Twist and Shout and What's New, Pussycat?
Whoa.
Yeah, but then I hear the original songs and I'm like, this is nothing like this is. I prefer the Chipmunks version.
Yeah.
Because I had heard it first, but anyway.
So that was the first episode.
Right. So we're done watching the first episode. So let's debrief. What did we learn?
I guess what did we learn? Why not to bark in class?
Yeah. Usually at the end of a sitcom, there's some lesson. And I think the lesson that was in this particular episode was that, okay, the setup was that, Roseanne is mad at Dan for not working harder, and Dan's mad at Roseanne because he just likes it the way it is. And then at the end, they help, I don't know, was it Darlene fix her finger? And,
yep.
Then it's like, okay, whatever, we'll just go back to the way things are.
Yep. It's very much a glimpse in, there's not really a lesson, just like a glimpse in their life.
Sure.
Like, this is what it's like when you're lower middle class and you live in the Midwest and you have 3 kids. And
I was amazed at so they finish the episode and then they go to commercial and they come back and they have their little coda. That's not necessarily really to do with the episode. It was we're showing that Dan had a boat. And they're kind of rocking there and just talking about what they're going to do when they retire. And she said some sexual things and eventually said, let's go do it. And it was just, I don't know. Was there a time in the 80s where they were more free to say things? Because I also remember one of the episodes of Family Ties where the dad talks to Alex about having sex, and he's certainly in high school and not married. And they're talking about sex and not talking about marriage. They're just talking about being safe. I don't know. Is that weird? Does that change?
I think we go through waves where we're oversensitive to stuff like that, and then we're really not sensitive to stuff like that. I think right now we're probably in a period where we're oversensitive to things. At the time, I mean, I don't know, it just wasn't as subtle. Remember, before that, the Bradys, those two were always doing it. It was just very subtle. The joke.
What?
The Carol Brady and what's the dad's name?
I don't know, but I know he was gay in real life.
He was gay in real life.
So they weren't doing it on camera.
They weren't doing it on camera. But there was those two were always up with each other's junk. It was very subtle. If you go back and watch that series, they're all over each other.
I feel like my wife watched that series and I caught glimpses while I was, just in the room, and I'll have to take a look at that.
But they're not so and I think that's also what I like about the show is just those two. You know what? That's kind of the thing that takes it out of reality. I've never seen a married couple like those two, where they're just constantly talking about doing it. Maybe it happens outside the room. I'm not married. You are.
Right.
So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But these two seem really into no pun intended, really into each other.
I think some people like each other.
Yeah.
To the point where they're willing to get physical.
You think so?
Right, Jay. So there's these birds and there's these bees. And I don't know what you were told, but sometimes they get together.
And they do. Bees and birds, all right.
Right.
I don't know, I don't know. You just don't see. Maybe that's because it all happens behind closed doors. Maybe married couples are more amorous. Behind, they don't say things like "I want to jump your bones" right in front of company.
No comment.
Has that happened?
No comment. This is not really. I think we want to move on.
Zach, I'm just trying to.
Thanks, Ray Ralferson. Sorry, Jay. Jay Warren. So let's see. What can we do to wrap up? I mean, why are we doing this? What is the point of Roseanne? What can we have people get out of this? What are we hoping that people get out of this?
I thought we were just having fun.
We're right. That's right. We don't care about you, the listener. We just care about having fun.
If you're having fun, good. If you're not,
that's
deuces.
Okay.
I mean, what's your idea behind Roseanne?
My idea behind Roseanne was that we change the world, make it a better place. We encourage people to recycle, reduce, reuse, close the loop. that sort of thing.
Close the loop.
Pretty sure that's how the commercial went.
What's the commercial again?
Help people avoid walking on, stay away from down to power lines, and you got to obey what signs say.
I think you're thinking of something else.
Saturday morning cartoons. Louis the Lightning Bug.
There used to be for a while. There was a cartoon version of this show.
What?
Called Little Rosie.
No way.
Yeah, and it was a Saturday morning cartoon. I don't know how many seasons it ran, but
how could this possibly translate into a Saturday morning cartoon?
Right? It's called Little Rosie.
And go on.
And it was just like kid versions of them.
Huh. So it's kind of, in a way, I guess Dan's not really like Kermit the Frog, but
No, he's not.
Roseanne is a little bit like Miss Piggy with the brass nature, brash. I'm not sure how to use it.
And I'm not sure like what all characters made it over.
Okay.
Like obviously the kids didn't translate, but
what I was saying is like between the Muppets and then the Muppet Babies. You remember the Saturday morning cartoon Muppet Babies?
I remember Muppet Babies. Yeah.
Rolf.
Yeah.
He was good at piano.
Muppet Babies, we make our dreams come true.
I don't think I remember the theme song, but it's vaguely familiar.
When your room looks kind of weird.
I just remember the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles intro theme song. It's almost as good as the theme from what's the one with Will Smith? Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good theme song. I think I sing it in my showers every morning.
Every morning you sing the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Every morning.
No, nothing else? Just that?
Well, that's how I get started. By the time I get through all of the verses, because did you know that the intro only has like a couple of the verses?
Yeah, there's an extended.
Yeah.
Version, yeah.
It comes up on my Pandora, and I like it. Thumbs up every time.
That's a good tune for you. Huh?
It is. DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Yep.
Fresh Prince.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember DJ Jazzy Jeff was it Starter Hats? There was commercials for Starter Hats that DJ Jazzy Jeff was the spokesman for, and he would talk about how you take a hat that's where it's flat billed when you buy a hat, and you get it to have that kind of curvy look.
Mm-hmm.
And he went through this whole process, and it was a commercial. It was you should look up Starter Hats, DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Now it's the opposite too. People want
yeah, they want it flat.
Yeah, which looks fucking goofy to me.
It does, but
we're old.
You're old. I'm young at heart. I'm 4 years old in my head.
Is that good? Being a 4-year-old perpetually?
Well, I mean, on the outside, chronologically, I'm in my 30s, but on the inside,
and you think that's good?
To stay youthful, yeah.
Okay.
What are some of the things from the 90s or 80s that you remember that are maybe pertinent to the era of Roseanne? Or
I remember, I remember the only time I found it was we went and visited my mom's family on the res, and they had this Ghostbusters bubble gum that kind of came in like a toothpaste tube.
Okay.
So like it came out like toothpaste. It wasn't very chewy at all, but like that's what it was.
Why should it be chewy?
Well, it was supposed to be bubble gum.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought it was just bubblegum flavored.
No, it was bubble gum.
Huh.
It was green. I never that. Like that's the only place I ever found it though.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called. It was some Ghostbusters gum though.
But you said it was in like a toothpaste tube.
Yeah, it was like a toothpaste tube, so you squeeze it out.
You sure it wasn't just toothpaste?
My mom assured me that it wasn't toothpaste. Stop trying to brush your teeth with that. It's not real toothpaste, Jay.
Now you've spent your whole life brushing your teeth with the wrong thing. Now it's Jack Daniels.
Yeah. Delicious.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well,
you have some closing thoughts on Roseanne, though.
Okay, so closing thoughts are, as a person who, and remember, me, Zach Zichter, just a casual observer. I watched a few Roseanne episodes, but certainly not a connoisseur, aficionado, enthusiast, or fanatic at all. But I think this first episode was pretty good. Maybe I came in with very low expectations, and just because it's a late '80s, 90s era sitcom. But I'd say there's probably plenty of sitcoms that are being produced now that are much worse on
Big
delivery.
Bang Theory. Yeah.
That's a good show.
Is it? Is it? No.
I think it's a good show.
Oh, I can't stand it.
This is gonna be a bunch of
But interesting side note.
sure.
One of the characters from Big Bang Theory later he's a character on Roseanne. He doesn't come into like season 4, but yeah.
Yeah. Darlene's boyfriend.
Yeah. And Darlene makes an appearance on that show for a little while.
Really? Oh no. Okay.
And even Jackie plays so his character's name in Roseanne, I don't know his character name in Big Bang, but I think his name is David.
Mm-hmm.
Well, his name is David in Roseanne, but
It's Leonard in Big Bang.
Leonard.
Theory, yeah.
I think Jackie plays his mom. She plays somebody's mom at some point.
Really?
Yeah, she's in that show too.
Hmm.
They're all produced both of them are produced by the same guy, Chuck Lorre. So it makes
Chuck
sense.
Lorre, yeah. Huh. Interesting.
Mhm.
So did Chuck Lorre then get along with Roseanne?
I'm assuming so.
I mean, how many seasons did Roseanne go?
9. Ran for 9 series.
That's pretty good. I mean, any series that goes for more than 5, 4 even. I guess what was the rule? The rule was you want to get to 100 episodes so you can be syndicated.
Yep.
And usually, if you have 25 episodes a season, and sometimes it's 22, whatever, that's either 4 or 5 seasons.
Mm-hmm. They really should have quit. I think season 8. If they ended at season 8, I think it would be perfect.
Okay.
Season 9 is, and we'll get there. It's just a weird.
Okay. Well, let's not ruin it for anybody that might be joining us and are going to maybe go through the series along with us. Because we're going to do this every week, right?
Yep.
Once a week.
We'll be back next week.
Okay. All right. Well, do you have final thoughts for this particular episode of Life and Stuff?
I would like, what would be my dream? Is if this podcast got so successful that we could Skype Sal Barone, the original DJ. And be like, what happened? Like, just be like, what did you do?
My guess is that we could probably Skype him now.
You think so? Yeah, he probably doesn't have much going on.
Or what was it about Darlene, or the gal that plays Darlene?
Well, like, that's what I've read online, is that, like, for some reason him and Darlene didn't get along, and that's why they fired him. I don't know if that's true or not.
Sure.
I don't think we'll ever get to Skype Sarah Gilbert because she's still on TV. She's, like, on some talk show, but...
What talk show is she on?
She's on some show with a bunch of women that sit around and talk. Like, it's like what's the name of that show with all the women that talk?
The View?
The View. It's like a show like that.
Okay, there's also The Real. That's like the African American version.
No, well, Sarah Gilbert's not black, so I don't know if you noticed.
Well, I was mentioning because Raven Simone is on The Real, or is she on The View?
I don't know.
Actually, Raven Simone, I think, is on The View.
Is she? I guess I don't know.
I don't know. I see some of this stuff in the background.
You watch more TV than I do, I think.
I don't watch that stuff. It just happens to be on while I come home or I'm in the other room.
That's fine. Dude, if you want to watch The Real or The View, it's okay. No one's judging. Except for Rob. I hope he's listening right now.
Right. Okay. Well, let's see. What can we invite people to do? I think what we would like to do, and this might not happen until we get a few actual listeners, but I want to have some questions either commented in to see if we can stump you, because I don't know any trivia about Roseanne, but I think others probably do, and they have access to the internet. So it'd be nice to maybe start a kind of a call-in situation.
Call in?
Yeah.
Or comment in. We should start a Facebook page. Maybe next episode we'll have a Facebook page set up.
Okay. Yeah, that would be the thing to do then. Like our Facebook page, and just wait for that next episode and watch the first episode of Roseanne. Make comments on what you think about our analysis, and then maybe watch the second episode before you hear our next episode.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
Well, I'm Zach Zichter, and this was Jay Warren.
I'm Jay Warren.
All right.
You guys have a good week.
All right. Peace out.